Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to another Monday meditation for all the occupiers of White City Place. It's really nice to join you this way and just discover new ways of meditating, of bringing mindfulness into our lives, and navigating our way through this pandemic as we isolate. And until we get to see each other in person again. So, meditation is the same wherever you do it, whether it's at home or out. It's still the same practice. There are advantages, though, to maybe practicing in nature if you get a chance, if it's not raining and you get a chance to get out and now that you can sit on a park bench, go and use that opportunity and, while it's warm enough and sit and meditate there in nature. It's a really great place to do it because you have all the natural smells, sounds, and even visuals before you close your eyes. Um, and it's just a different energy. So if you have a park close by or even a small garden, whatever it might be, being in nature where you can maybe hear the birds chirping and other sounds. Quite often when we're in space, we're limited to the sounds that are in our space or around our space. Occasionally we can take our soundscape a little bit further away and really listen to a very distant low hum of traffic. But when we're in nature, there's so much going on. There are so many sounds. I know when I go to my park, there's sometimes the sound of the ranger's car going around. There are the birds. There are squirrels rustling in the leaves. There are people talking, going by. There's kids from a play park quite close by. Um, just the weather, the wind on the trees. So there's lots of things. So that's the advantage of being outside. It makes it a little bit easier to slip into a more mindful place because mindfulness really is just about being present, by being present moment, um, being aware in the here and now, being conscious. All these words that I'm using all kind of mean the same thing. So consciousness, awareness, present moment, here and now, they're all the same. And so, yes, so sound is really good. So getting out is really good. And the other thing I wanted to say just before we start, and I will start quite soon actually, I want to get you kind of into it a little bit quicker today. So the other thing is movement is really good and advantageous before you sit. Mindfulness meditation, walking around, is a little bit different because you're moving and it's a different kind of practice. I might even do one of those for you one week. Think about that. But when you're at home and you're sitting doing the meditation, mindfulness, it's good to have moved your body a little bit. It just makes it easier to sit for that time. In fact, that's why yoga was actually invented because, yoga started being just sitting cross-legged and meditating. That's what yoga was at the very, very beginning. And as people decided to meditate for longer, it was getting difficult to maintain that seated position. So they brought in yoga to loosen up the body and prepare for meditation. So that's where that all comes from. It's really good to move your body. Some people like to meditate when they first get out of bed, and that's cool. That's a good idea. But maybe if you do that, also, even if it just means kind of standing in a forward fold or just kind of like moving your shoulders around or just kind of having a little bit of a kind of stretch side to side or whatever it might be, or your hands in the air or any kind of little movements that you can do that where your body feels like it wants to go. Never just do a movement because it's a movement. Do something that your body needs. So it might just be, it's natural that when we get out of bed, we do a nice big stretch like this because that's intuitively what our body wants to do. So listening to your body becoming more intuitive about what it needs before you sit down. And then you feel a little bit looser and a little bit more able to sit and give yourself the practice. That's a little tip. Okay, I want to begin with you. So let's just close our eyes for a moment and just see how we are in our body. Are you feeling comfortable? This is also a good little kind of shuffle time. I call this my shuffle time at the beginning, just to kind of make sure you're comfortable. You're not too hot. You have to take off a layer of clothing or add a layer of clothing, adjust your seat, close a door from a noisy room, whatever it might be, just whatever you might be. This is your shuffle time, just to kind of notice how it is, how you are right now. And really, I want you to get the idea of taking away any effort. Don't want there to be any effort involved. That's why it's important to get comfortable. Not try and be any particular way. Don't try and be meditative. Don't try and sit like a yogi unless it feels nice. Just whatever's good for you. And if that's sitting in a chair or on the floor or against a sofa or against a bed head, whatever it is, the right place for you to be able to sit relaxed for a good 25 minutes, something like that. Don't worry about any thoughts coming up. Maybe just notice them, what kind of thoughts they are. At the same time, don't look or search for any thoughts. Just be. It sounds so easy, doesn't it? Just be. But it's actually quite a dedicated practice to just be, because that means letting go of everything, of not caring really, of being easy with who you are right now, how you are right now, and how you are right now. I want you just to notice how you're breathing. This takes practice too. When we talk about the breath, often just reactively, people will start to try and breathe in a deliberate way. Try and see if you can just carry on breathing the normal way. And if you're not sure, if you think you might have tried to breathe a certain way, let it go. Take your attention back to your body, maybe, or sounds, or anything else. And then very sneakily, almost like coming in the back door, notice how you are breathing normally without having to think about it. And just noticing the breath coming in and out of your body. If you can breathe through your nose, that's the more ideal. If it's the mouth, don't worry. It's not going to disturb your meditation either way. But it's a little bit more healthful to breathe through your nose if you can. So, with that, noticing the breath coming in to the body through the nose or the mouth, down the back of the throat and into the lungs. So, you can make this a visual thing. You can follow the in breath on a little journey into the nose, down the throat, into the lungs. And when it gets lungs at the height of the inhale, you might be aware of your chest expanding a little bit and contracting on the out breath. And notice the out breath journey as well. Follow it back up. So just practicing that for a few breaths. Make sure you're not focusing too much, just allowing it to happen easily. No forced breath. And do a little scan around your body, noticing any muscles that might be clenched. And these can be tiny, they can be little muscles around your ankle, for example, or your wrist, even. There are many little muscles in the face that we may well be using that we don't need to. So let's do a little scan of the skull. But before we do that, I just want you to drop your chin in towards your chest so the back of the neck gets really long. Now let your head hang here and take some nice deep breaths into the chest and out. And see if you can expand that breath, not just into the chest, but then into the belly, so it becomes a slightly deeper breath. But keep the chin into the chest. The neck's really long, it's just kind of hanging the head. And then slowly keep the chin into the chest, but slowly move it towards your left shoulder. Don't bring it up yet, but just let it hang here to that side. Let the chin come back into the chest. And then roll it very slowly over to the other side. Very gently back into the center. And then very gently bringing the chin back so that your head is upright again. Just notice for a moment how the neck feels and how the shoulders feel. Are the shoulders relaxing away from the ears? Do they feel nice and heavy? Do you get a sense of an extra length, perhaps, in the neck? Now take your attention to your earlobes. Don't worry if you can't feel them, but just know where they are. And in your mind's eye, trace from the earlobe into your face, and that will come to the top of your jawline. Now, just by thinking about the top of the jawline, it might help you just relax the lower jaw. If not, consciously let that go. Let the lower jaw get heavy. If you find it difficult to release your jaw, then deliberately clench it by pulling yourself into a really silly, big, overextended smile. And then let it go. And then you'll feel the release. So enjoy a nice, heavy jaw. And to help lower jaw just relax, allow your tongue just to sit embedded in the lower jaw and notice the feeling of the tongue against the bottom teeth. Allow your tongue just to reside there. The tongue is the strongest muscle in your body. Let it go, let it relax. Still relaxing that jaw. And then we're just going to float upwards a little bit to the eyeballs. So allow your eyeballs to sink a little bit. Imagine them just to be heavy marbles. Just let them go. So there's no looking. I know you have your eyes closed, but even then you can kind of be looking. So just allow the eyes to really soften and see if you can determine the difference between the eyeballs and the eyelids. You want them both to soften. So with the eyeballs, there's a kind of sense of quite literally dropping the balls. And the eyelids, there's a kind of sense of softening. There's so many tiny little muscles in the eyelids that can kind of quiver a bit when we try really hard. So just see if you can just let them go. And the eyelids, of course, take you up to your eyebrows. So allow your eyebrows to get heavy. And when the eyebrows get heavy, we can then smooth out the frown line and the forehead. Now I want you to take your conscious awareness to the top of your head, the crown of your head. And just imagine that somebody has been tapping the crown of your head very gently. So you are aware of their imprint. If that's too tricky for you to imagine, you can always just tap the crown of your head for a second, and then you'll be left with that feeling. It just really helps you be aware of how that feels, even though nobody is now touching it. You can take your attention to any part of the body from the inside. And tracing down the back of your head now to where your skull ends and your neck begins. And just getting a sense of the creases in the neck there, just softening a little bit, the little folds of skin that come in the back of the neck, and just allowing them to soften. And so the whole head is just relaxed. You just let everything go. And now we're going to very gently and slowly take the furniture out of the head. So I want you to imagine that you are gently lifting out the skull and the brain and putting it to one side, creating this vacuous space. And when you've done that, take your attention to the back of your eyelids. And I want you to imagine that you are sitting inside your head, looking at the back of the eyelids, and these are your screens, like movie screens, but not imagined visuals. This is literally what you can see right now at the back of your eyelids. And you're just sitting in there, in this tiny chair, with all the space behind you, with everything cleared out of the skull, cleared out of the skin that forms the shape of your head. Nothing in there apart from you and these screens, the back of your eyelids. And looking at the screens, just seeing how long you can keep your focus on whatever it is that you see there. So if it's a color, staying with that until a distraction comes in, and that can be a sound, a thought, memory, or it could be that what you're looking at might change. It might change into a different color, or it might move slightly. Go with the changes, but stay with the focus of behind your eyelids. If you have too many thoughts coming in, that's fine. Just remind yourself every time you feel yourself getting lost in thought, remind yourself just to come back. And it doesn't matter how many times you have to do that. So, trying to make this focus behind the eyelids, the space between the thoughts, and how you're trying to extend that space. This space where we're just looking at the eyelids and we are presently aware with what we can see is the here and now. We're trying to hold on to that here and now before another thought tries to break the monotony. Your brain gets bored. The idea is that you beat that by maintaining the focus each time between the thoughts. Remember, if you lose your focus, you just come back. Remind yourself to come back to that little chair inside your head, inside that empty space, looking at the screens. I want to try and give you a few minutes without me talking for you to really practice on your own, because when I talk, that's either a distraction for you or it's a prompt to bring you back. And I want to see if you can manage your own ways of bringing yourself back. So I'm just going to be silent just for a few minutes and I will come back to you. Another really helpful thing to do if you're finding it difficult to stay with the color is if you drop your eyes, keep your eyes closed, but drop your eyes so that you're looking down your nose and you'll see the color change or get lighter, probably lighter. I would say darker, but I think it's going to be lighter. Whatever happens, it's different. So whatever you see down there, making that a new point of focus, even though it's the same, you're still looking at the backs of your eyelids. Looking down changes it and gives you a break. But also notice that the looking down can get quite tiring, after a while anyway. And then you can slowly allow your eyes to reset and come back to the regular place in the middle. And you might find that the color behind your eyelids is changed slightly. But it gives you a kind of refresh. But it's nice because it means that you didn't have to get distracted to get refreshed. You just changed the angle of the view. You're still with that idea of looking at the back of your eyelids. And just take another minute or two here. All right. Now we're going to bring in a conscious breath exercise. It's a very gentle one. And I want you to, every time you breathe in, if you've got your hands, by the way, on your lap, this is going to be the easiest way to do this. Your hands are on your lap with your palms facing up. And I want you to imagine that every in-breath is coming in through your fingertips up towards your elbows. This is inside your arms, up inside your elbows, right up to your shoulders, in towards your neck, up into the side of your head, and coming out at the crown of the head, that place where we felt before. And then on the out breath, I want you to visualize it's coming out of the crown of the head and spilling over both sides of your body, tracing over your shoulders, down the outsides of the arms and back out through the fingertips. Now it's quite a long way from the fingertips to the crown of your head in a breath, so it might be nice to count, and the ideal count is 5 seconds in and 5 seconds out. But what I'd like you to add to that is that when you get to the top of the head, you can add a little thing we call a kumbhaka, which is a pause of held breath. So you can hold in that breath for a beat or 2 or 3, whatever feels comfortable. Wouldn't go too much more than 3 because you want this breath to be quite fluid. And then exhale, let it wash over you, down your arms and out to the fingers. 1 beat, 1.5 beats is perfect to hold the breath, but up to you to choose. So, whenever you're ready, breathing in through the fingertips, it's the crown of the head holding it, and then out. I'm not going to count with you because I want you to do that yourselves. You will have a slightly different count to mine, a different breath to mine. So just continuing that in your own time, but try and do about 5 seconds in and 5 seconds out. And the trick here, of course, is to try and time it so that the breath, the top of the breath, meets your visual focus, the crown of your head. And at the bottom of your breath, the visual focus is just as the breath is leaving the fingertips. So it takes a bit of practice to get that even. And there's no right or wrong. This is just a practice for you to become mindful and to manage it and look at it in a playful way. And you can be as visual as you like. That's the nice thing about this. You can make this anything you like. You can imagine it's water flowing on the out breath, maybe under a waterfall or the shower. The in breath, you can imagine that you're drawing a light or an energy in through the fingertips, filling yourself up. And when you get to the crown of the head, just holding that lovely energy or that light to the top. And then taking the spill over with the light maybe coming down your arms. There's many things you can do. You can be as imaginative as you like because you're staying with the present. You're experiencing the flow of breath in and out of your body in this highly visual way. And why do we breathe in for 5 and out for 5? That's the perfect ratio for heart coherence. Your heart likes to breathe in this way or feel the breath in this way because it helps navigate the parasympathetic nervous system, which is your relaxed response. And when we breathe in for the same number as we breathe out, it keeps everything in balance as well. So there's a few reasons why we choose 5. And these are all health benefits to manage stress, and also helps keep you focused. Let's do a couple more of those up the arms and down the arms. So it's just a couple more breaths in and out. And when you finish those, just keeping your eyes at the back of the eyelids again. And just placing your left hand on your belly and your right hand just where your heart space is, so just above your left breast or thereabouts, maybe midway down. We put our hands here when we feel a sense of gratitude quite often. So I want you to continue looking at the back of your eyelids. Bring in the sense of gratitude. Now, if it helps to remember something that you're grateful for, that's a really good thing. So it might be the love of your family. It might be um, that you felt good when you got out of bed this morning. It can be grateful for having a barista open around the corner if you have that. It might be grateful for, you can be grateful to yourself for showing up and giving yourself this meditative time. You might be grateful to know that you have a good friend somewhere in the world. You know, there's so many things we can be grateful for, and you know what that feeling is like. So, bringing that sense of gratitude into your body, and also it helps if you bring a little bit of a smile into it as well, just by that action that prompts the body. It knows that it's a happy place, and it prompts the body to activate the serotonin in your body. Just by building on a good feeling, by bringing in more feeling, just by bringing it in, can also help trigger the serotonin and build on the present serotonin. So it just gets better. And if it also helps, you can sort of say to yourself, I am grateful for whatever it might be. Or you might just say, I'm grateful, and just enjoy that feeling. You can say it again and again, however many times, however slowly you want to say it, it doesn't matter. Just repeating it when you need it. And letting it fill you. So with every in breath, you feel the breath expand, but also the sense of the word expand, the sense of gratitude. And notice what happens physically in your body. Does your chest rise a little bit? Staying with that for as long as it feels good. I'm going to leave you here only because I want you to become the master of your own ship and decide when it's your time to come out of the meditation. I don't want to just stop the class and go, right, bye-bye. So you just stay with it as long as it feels good. I will let you know that you've been meditating with me now for 35 minutes. It's a long time. So stay with it longer if you like. But you'll know when it's time. You'll know when it's time to maybe move on. But whatever it is, whenever it is, very slowly transition back into the world. So don't move too quickly. Make sure that you just start by opening your eyes slowly and looking around you, maybe taking in some sounds, and very gently moving to standing if you need to move on, but very, very slowly. Okay, thanks, guys. Stay where you are if you